Welcome back here to the 2019 Canada Winter Games from Red Deer, Alberta. Joel Peterman back in the booth here, and I'll have Dustin Ekstrom with me here today to call the action. Today we have Ontario versus Northwest Territories playing. Ontario coming into this draw at 7 wins and 1 loss. And Northwest Territories coming in at 0-9, still looking for their first win. But a great experience for both of these teams playing in this atmosphere at the Canada Winter Games. They're getting fantastic ice, fantastic support here in the rink at the Red Deer Fraternity Center and across the country, live on YouTube and live on Canada Games Live. Like I said, I'll be joined in the booth by Dustin. He's not quite here, but he'll race in here and start with me. We'll get started right after this. We'll hear "Oh Canada" from our amazing singer, Shelley. We'll be listening to our venue announcer, Sarah Corbiere, and we'll get things started here in Draw 10 here at the Canada Winter Games.
Welcome to Fraternity Centre, site of the curling competition of 2019 Canada Winter Games. This competition is presented by Shaw, the official telecommunications provider of the 2019 Canada Winter Games. Bienvenue au Centre Fraternity pour la compétition de curling des Jeux d'hiver du Canada 2019. Cette compétition est présentée par Shaw, fournisseur officiel des services de télécommunications des Jeux d'hiver du Canada 2019. This evening's event features men's and women's draw number 11. Cet après-midi, nous vous présentons l'épreuve de placement chez les hommes et les femmes numéro 11. On sheets 2 and 3, sur pistes 2 et 3, Saskatchewan versus Alberta, Saskatchewan contre Alberta. On On sheets 4 and 5, sur piste 4 et 5, Manitoba versus Nova Scotia. Manitoba contre la Nouvelle-Écosse. On sheets 6 and 7, sur piste 6 et 7, Newfoundland and Labrador versus Québec. La Terre-Neuve et Labrador contre Québec. On sheets 8 and 9, sur piste 8 et 9, British Columbia versus New Brunswick. La Colombie-Britannique contre le Nouveau-Brunswick. And on sheets 10 and 11, sur les pistes 10 et 11, Northwest Territories versus Ontario. Territoire du Nord-Ouest contre Ontario.
For every gold medal won at the 2019 Canada Games, Shaw Communications will donate $150 to a local charity in the Red Deer community chosen by the gold medalist. That's $25,000 going towards deserving charities in Central Alberta. Thank you, Shaw, for making an impact in our community.
Pour chaque médaille aux Jeux du Canada 2019, Shaw Communications versera $150 à un organisme de bienfaisance de Red Deer choisi par le médaillé d'or. Au total, $25 000 seront ainsi versés à des organismes de bienfaisance du centre de l'Alberta. Merci Shaw de faire un impact positif au sein de notre collectivité.
We wish to acknowledge the ancestral and traditional Indigenous territories of the Treaty 6 Cree and Treaty 7 Blackfoot and Stoney Nations. We also recognize this region as a historical Métis gathering site, and we are grateful to be here as we gather today for this event.
Nous tenons à remercier les Premières Nations faisant partie du traité numéro 6, les Cris, et du traité numéro 7, les Pieds-Noirs et les Stoney, car nous sommes réunis aujourd'hui sur leurs terres ancestrales et traditionnelles. Cette région est également un lieu de rassemblement traditionnel des Métis, et c'est un privilège de pouvoir nous y réunir dans le cadre de cet événement.
Please rise if you are able, remove your hats, and join Shelley Popovich in the singing of our national anthem. Mesdames et messieurs, pouvez-vous lever et enlever vos chapeaux et rejoindre Shelley Popovich pour notre hymne national.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. Quand embrasser porter l'épée, il sait porter la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Welcome fans from across the country. Draw 10 of the 2019 Canada Winter Games. I'm delighted to be joined back in the booth after hot demand. Dustin Ekstrand, you're back in the booth.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening. Barn burner time,
Oh,
isn't it, Joel?
We're getting to the crunch time
We're getting
here.
to the crunch time. Lots on the line here for Ontario, obviously, but for the territories too. I mean, you always want to get a W, don't you?
Yep.
And how many times have you seen the territories blow up top teams and Scotties and Briars? Like,
Yep.
Maybe we'll see that tonight.
Yep, they like to play a little bit upset. Nothing to lose at this point.
Yes, and for Ontario, obviously battling for that top seed with BC, who's 2 sheets over, so we'll keep the fans updated on that.
Absolutely. Both
As
these
they play New Brunswick.
some big games here tonight. First and second place, obviously huge in a competition like this. You get the bye to the semifinal. Third will play sixth in a quarterfinal, and fourth will play fifth in the other quarterfinal.
Okay. That's quite the format, isn't it,
It
Joel?
We were talking about that earlier with Lyle, who was on the broadcast. He said, why don't curlers just pick one playoff format and stick with it? We seem to do a page format in some, a quarterfinals in some. Sometimes it's just semifinals.
Well, who said humans make sense all the time? Right? First stone's coming down here, and they're going to start off by throwing her in the paint. So we'll probably expect an open end here to start.
Caleb Brake, 15-year-old, 6'4".
So he's just a foot and 2 inches taller than me.
And he's 15 years old.
Yeah. He's 15.
He's 15.
Oh. He's also got a great head of hair on him, too. Right? Can't go wrong with...
I can't
He
even
won't
say
be balding anytime soon.
that.
I'll
No,
tell you
no.
that.
Something I have to worry about.
Him
Caleb
probably.
definitely doesn't have to.
Yeah, I don't either, luckily. Yeah, we'll see what Caleb can do here. He's got a hit coming up.
Ontario makes no mistake on their hit. Now Caleb trying to do the same thing.
Have we found the ice conditions getting a little bit straighter as the week's gone on, Joel? That's pretty normal in a competition like this.
Why do you say that, Dustin? Can you explain that to our fans? No?
Well, I can, yes. So the rocks prior are usually sandpapered to be a little more grabby on the pebble, make them a little more aggressive. So obviously they're going to finish harder. And as the week goes on, that running edge is going to dull, causing rocks to run a little bit straighter than they do at the beginning of the week. So I'm already noticing that compared to when we were here Sunday. Looking at these sweepers, they can really hold the line here, which probably makes things a little more predictable for them.
Absolutely. We've seen pretty consistent curl. Yes, there's been less and less, but it's still been a little bit consistent. So we're excited for another good game today. Ontario, Northwest Territories. I was kind of talking to both the teams a little bit beforehand.
You know what you should do? I mean, I'm totally going off the radar here. But you should give your Twitter handle, and they should be able to ask us questions throughout the day. I don't see why not.
That's not a bad idea
Why
at
don't
all.
you do that? Give out your Twitter handle. Let's see if anybody's really listening to us.
Anybody listening to us? So Joel, Joel, William, just how it's spelled, Otto, is my Twitter.
You had to make it that long, eh? Jeez.
Joel William Otto. So follow me on Twitter. Give me a shout. Let's see if anybody's actually listening to us. And if you give me a shout, we'll put your question on air.
Yes.
It's a good little segment. You've been thinking about that one since you last came Sunday?
Well, we got to interact with the fans here.
Keep them
We got an
interested.
early miss here by the Territories, and Ontario's going to get a chance to split the house and lie an important 2. They don't have the hammer, though, so it'll be all about forcing them here.
Ontario does have the hammer.
They do?
Yep, they do.
Well, how come it looks like there's 2 blue rocks down there?
There's 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can't be perfect on air all the time, and I mean, we are live. So,
Yeah, first end, and we have already making mistakes.
That's okay. So for the Territories here, they're going to want to try and hit and roll towards the middle here, try and set up some sort of a late double here. We'll see what
Garrett Minute.
Garrett, is it Minute?
Minute.
Is that the right way to say it? We'll see what old Garrett can do here. Make a little roll action.
So these guys have been, I was talking to them a little bit before, they've been to 3 straight Canadian juniors as well at age 15. So they've been going to the Canadian juniors since they were 12.
Well, that is one of the luxuries you can say of getting a competitive team up north is you do get the opportunity to earn a lot of heavy experience. And you've seen that with teams that, I think of Scoffin, for example, great young junior curler. Obviously, I don't know, the Cooies have won the odd thing. But they all get that from getting to play in that repeated national experience for a number of years, which is great.
Absolutely. So another miss there, unfortunately, by Garrett. It's going to allow Ontario to draw a 3rd stone in. This is Sam Guilbeault. He's not French. He told me to anglicize that. Guilbeault. Sam Guilbeault.
He's 17 here, eh?
17.
Oh, this team's pretty mature on the Ontario side, eh? We've got a lot of 17 and 18-year-olds, and
Yep.
obviously the skip is 16. So I gotta say, like at this age range, that is a bit of an advantage when you're kind of at your max age. You've obviously have matured a little more, probably played a little longer,
Absolutely.
and probably they're one of the reasons why they're at the top of the standings.
So Nick Moore, their 3rd actually, is attending Ryerson University. And the lead, Vincent Barbon, I don't know how to spell that one, pronounce that one, is actually going to attend McMaster University.
Oh, okay.
Starting in the fall.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
That is great.
I think Sam Guilbeault, the guy the second for Ontario too, is going to attend. He told me Guelph with a computer sciences. So he's quite a smart little guy. Little guy? I guess he's probably bigger than I am.
Yeah, from up here, he doesn't look like he's that much smaller than us.
No, that's well, he's down there, so he's down there, smaller.
True.
So Nick Moore.
This is a big one. You got to stick around. Well, we'll probably need a slight roll actually to be in the paint, and you see them trying to direct it. No. Oh, Northwest Territories here, if they can be careful, have a chance here to kind of take control back in the end here and make a little chip and roll.
So that's their third here.
Yeah.
Tristan McPherson. I said McPherson. He was quick to correct me.
Well, say it right.
Yeah.
It's just how it's spelled.
I just missed the A, apparently.
I like how he throws the rock. It was a very nice delivery.
Guys are sweeping in here for him.
Yang!
You got your own leg.
Oh,
Sound effects now going.
yeah. Have you got how have your other guest commentators been this week? They've been
Wide
quite
range.
lively. With
Yeah, wide range.
you got some.
Wide range of experience with
Yeah.
curling and broadcasting. We've had Keith Glover, obviously, with a wide range of curling experience. And then this morning I had my cousin Lyle, who wide range of broadcasting experience, but no curling experience. So
Oh, I see.
it's been a wide range.
And do you still, for the fans that'll be tuning in for the final, are they still getting Chelsea?
Oh,
No,
we don't know.
We don't.
As the week's gone on, the text messages have been scarce.
Oh, she's playing that card now, like she's a two-time Scottish champion or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Oh, that's something.
See, we should get her listening to this, and then we can just badmouth her the whole time, and then she'll feel so bad.
I could probably do that.
Nick Moore there drawing around his own guard. So now the Ontario team sitting two.
So, for the territories here, pretty important to roll somewhere towards the middle, if not all the way over to the other side of the sheet. We'll see if they can kind of catch on. Like I say, I'm noticing the ice running straighter than what we saw earlier in the week. So, what I'd like to see from them is maybe just a good solid board weight so you can kind of control it, throw it right at the nose. You probably get a half rock in curl and probably get a good result, but we'll see what they do here.
Absolutely. You can see that they're starting to take a little less ice too than when you're here Sunday.
Absolutely.
So right to Dustin's point there, not as much curl. So this is 16-year-old skip Sawyer Kaiser. Kaiser. I even wrote myself a note to say that phonetically, and I still screwed it up.
See, and look at this. Great looking shot by the old skipper here. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Great shot. Nice to see that.
Good start
I'm
there by
even
the
seeing
Territories.
the Ontario front end mouth. Ooh, good shot. So
Is that what they were mouthing?
yeah.
There's no fist bump action there? I didn't watch.
Well, not by Ontario, no.
So a couple options here for Ontario. They could kind of try and come back with soft weight and push that out and roll open. You could throw a little short run back and maybe try and stick it behind there. He's going to elect for kind of that back line ring, though, and push it out. Roll maybe to the center line. Dustin, before the game started, you were really impressed with our camera girl, Siha Makad from Lebanon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
She's up the game.
She's up the game.
She's getting it. She's getting her done.
She's showing the flags during O Canada. She's showing the teams as they warm up. Doing a fantastic job for us
Somebody should hire
here. Get this lady a job.
Yeah.
TSN, get this lady a job.
I heard the TSN broadcast suffered.
Are we allowed to
Is that
badmouth?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Probably not. This one's going to chap off. But you know what? If these both... No, we're only going to get one to stick around. But still not bad. He still forces Territories to have to make a solid shot here. You can't get away with a half shot here. He's going to have to stick around. Either nose probably does the job.
Yeah, I would agree.
And again, at the angle that the viewers have, we're just noticing from the aerial view that we have the luxury of having just nose hit will just leave too steep of a double that I don't think they would try it.
Especially in the first end, you probably don't want to take something like that on and all of a sudden give up a steal that might change some momentum or give Northwest Territories some confidence early on.
That being said, though, you know, he does nose it here. It's not an easy hit on the left side there for your one, which is what you'd have to do to nose to be shot. You hit the inside half, you jam it and probably roll too far. So he's gonna. They'll talk about it a bit, I think. Looks like he's going to hit, but
He's already
or
looking
is he
at the
looking
double.
at drawing down to
Oh,
it.
no. Ooh.
At no point was he looking at the double.
At
Joe.
no point was he looking at that. We're just going to take the single nose hit here. Take a single point. Or at least that's attempt. So this is Skip, the 16-year-old Skip. Daniel Del Conte. Out of Stony Creek, Ontario. This team curls actually out of Hamilton, and they curl out of the Hamilton Victoria Curling Club. And one of the parents was telling me that this is the first team in the history of that club to ever make it to a national competition. So kind of cool. 152-year-old club.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so a very old club. A lot of.
Do you think it's
history
made of
there.
steel? It's the Steel City.
It is the Steel City.
Right?
That's something I didn't ask. No.
No.
They're
Have
from-
you ever been to Hamilton?
I haven't.
I haven't either. I've been to London, Toronto, but not Hamilton.
So Daniel makes the nose hit there. Didn't
good
ever
shot.
look at the double, but made the nose hit. And he's
And
gonna
I like the weight selection he chose there. Just threw a nice little board type weight. Keeps the sweepers involved. Take your one and hang it.
yeah, 1-0 here, Ontario, after the first end.
It is.
I was expecting like a Scottish great there from you.
Well, but it wasn't. They got forced. It's not what they wanted.
It was a good shot, though.
Yeah, well, yes, it was a very good shot. We'll see here now if they'll go a little more aggressive here. Maybe throw up the center. Or probably not, eh?
No.
You're up one. You might as well throw it top four and see what happens. See what the Tories want to do.
We've really only had one game that came out with a lot of aggression early, and that was the Quebec-Saskatchewan game. They literally threw center guards and went around it every single end. They started running
That's
into
great viewing.
Yeah, it was perfect viewing, perfect broadcast. They really went after each other. The only thing that became an issue was the time clocks, because every single end there was about 12 or 13 rocks in play.
So they ran into some time
Yeah,
issue.
yeah.
Use their timeouts.
They used their timeouts, yeah.
So why don't you tell the people who are watching just what do people get for timeouts? How does the time work? Why don't you share all that?
Fine.
Well, we got the center guard up.
Center guard up. So we have 30 minutes of thinking time. Once again, thinking time will start as soon as your opponent's rock comes to a rest, and it will stop as soon as you cross the near tee line. So that's how the thinking time works. They get 30 minutes of it. Each team will get 2 timeouts. The coaches are actually sitting out with them out on the sheet, so they can call a timeout from there. At this level, they can call a timeout from their seat. They can also have their skip turn around or reach to or point to the far end and call a timeout as well. So they'll get a minute and a half for each timeout. We've seen a lot more since last time you were here, so the kids are starting to get more comfortable and strategy is getting a little bit more difficult, so a lot more timeouts we're seeing. But really no other issues on time. Like everybody else has been playing pretty quick besides that one Saskatchewan-Quebec game, which I tried to do some stuff in Quebec, Dustin. You would have been proud. And I screwed up almost every single name on that Quebec team.
That's sad.
I was losing booters that day.
Yeah.
People were like tweeting me and texting me,
Did they?
telling me that I was saying names wrong and telling me that I was saying like an end, like after the third end. I was not saying the correct word for end for the first like half of the game.
No.
Yeah. However, it's in the past.
You know what would be a good one to ask your Twitterers there, who, if they want to answer at Joel William Otto. Otto is O-T-T-O or Otto?
O-T-T-O, yeah, you
Otto.
nailed it. Yeah. Still have nobody.
Would you
nobody reaching
still
out.
curl if you were mandated to wear a helmet? Because I had lunch with a guy that plays in our league today, and he is still dealing with a concussion from falling on the back of his head last week at league here.
Really?
He took a good shot off the boards,
Yeah.
the back of his head, and yeah, he's not sleeping. So it's kind of
Nice.
serious. So we were asking, would you quit? What would you do if you were mandated to wear a helmet?
If I was mandated to wear a helmet,
Yes.
I would kind of lose the appeal for me. Could I wear like a stylish helmet
Well,
that looks
that's-
like
yeah.
a baseball cap?
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, what if that became a thing?
Huh. Something you never think about. I guess I would keep playing. I love the sport more than I like my style out there.
No. But I think you're right. There could be something with, like, fashion.
Yeah. Maybe there's a market there that we need to exploit, Dustin.
But
You're
I
an
did-
entrepreneur a little bit. Like, could we exploit some kind of fashion business?
Oh, probably.
We haven't commented a single shot in this end so far.
No, but it's kind of speaking for itself. I like what the territories are doing here. They're going to try and open up the middle. hit and roll to a corner, so we'll see that. Again, with that, where that broom is, it looks like he's just throwing nice control boardy type weight, which again I like.
So it's important to get out to the broom because we are still seeing curl. Maybe not as much, but it's important to get right out to it.
Well, and for the viewers that are seeing this one is kind of was assisted with the curl, where he threw that fairly soft, kind of had it curling right out of his hand. So you're going to see significantly more curl if you're going to release it in that fashion.
So Garrett Minute gets the guard. It's kind of the important thing. I guess it's a good miss. He got the guard off. Leaves the Ontario rock at the top of the forefoot. Del Conte going to walk up and replace that center guard, asking his second, Sam Gilbo, to replace the guard.
And replacing a guard when you're trying to guard a very nicely positioned rock is not easy to do, is it?
No.
Like it's requires more precision than people give it credit for. It's not a
Sometimes they think.
not an easy shot on swingy ice.
Yeah. They sometimes think guards are the easiest rock to throw because you just got to throw the right weight and it's perfect. Not the case.
But this one looks very good. Still getting that nice late finish when you throw that right weight. I do like what Kaiser's doing here with trying to keep it open. I mean, he can see a sliver of the rock right now. Like, you probably could tap it back to even just behind the tee line if you wanted. But again, second end, you don't need to be that aggressive yet if you don't feel comfortable yet. This one's throwing a little bit better, but
So we only have 50.
we're still going to get some curl here.
We only have 51 viewers, Dustin. I don't think any of them have Twitter because we haven't heard a single thing on Twitter yet. We're hoping. No, dropped to 50 right as I said that. Sorry. Made the run back there a little bit. Got it off the forefoot.
Yeah. I would say good plan B from what was called. Good result for them, and we'll see if Ontario can replace that one because it was in pretty prime real estate where it was before.
It was. It's now third. Nick Moore trying to replace it, 18-year-old. He actually made the Ryerson varsity curling team as a freshman, so he was pretty proud of that when he was telling me. And the whole four of the boys and the parents and everybody that was involved with this team says to give a big shout out to everybody back in Hamilton watching this game. I think they're very proud of this team of boys. And they wanted to give a big shout out to everybody watching back at home. All 47 of them.
Well, pretty good result. I mean, maybe a rock deep, but still nice to see that everybody seems to have a pretty good feel for draw weight, and we'll see here if the territories can lock one on or just slightly top this a bit.
You surprised that Kaiser's going away from the peel now?
Well, no, there's two in there, and like I say, for this rock that's coming down to be shot, they really have to move it 2 inches, so, and it's not fully buried at this point. This needs to just finish a hair form, but still a great result. That's a good shot.
Good shot there by third Tristan McPherson, 15-year-old out of Fort Smith, Northwest Territories, which I figured out was right on the border of Alberta, Northwest Territories.
It is.
It's a population of about 2,500. However, it's like 267 kilometers from anything, from any other town. So you're basically stuck there. You're right on the rapids of the Drowned is what the one dad was telling me. So it's about a 14-hour drive from Edmonton, kind of in the middle of nowhere. There's an old fur trade spot actually on Slave River, which is kind of cool. So there's a little bit of a miss
Here's
by
a
Ontario.
break for the territories, and again, I like what Kaiser's doing here. He smells blood in the water. Or
Yeah.
is that?
Smells blood? Yeah, that's a shark
and,
reference. Yeah.
Let's see if he can put one here top 4.
You a pin guy, Dustin? Northwest Territories gave me a pin. You want it?
Well, no, they
No.
gave it to you. It's not mine.
I'm not a
It's
pin guy
yours.
though. Maybe we'll give it to
Put
our
it on your, put it on your
Seaham.
thing.
We'll give it to Seaham when she's done videotaping here. We got an awesome pin for you from Northwest Territories, Seaham. There you go.
Good.
Somebody would appreciate it. My cousin Lau this morning made the reference. He said maybe they're going to be on Pinterest later. No?
Oh, that's what
No?
the viewers were dealing with. Oh, my. Oh, this one's not going to get by. So
little bit.
Ontario's going to have a chance to lie 3, but still the good news for the Territories is everything's behind the tee line. So regardless, after this shot is made as good as it possibly can, the Territories are still going to have a good chance here to bury one, and see if we'll see where this one rolls to. But they might have, staggering those guards could actually be a gift here if the next one's made really well.
So Del Conte here going to hit this one. Dustin, do you think you should roll inside, outside, right on the nose? Probably right on the nose is probably the best spot.
Yeah, it's not going to do him any good to roll him behind, I don't think. It just gives Territories backing to draw to, so I think you want to keep this open. Again, you're in the back 4 essentially, so this rock is going to be behind the tee line.
He is going to roll inside, though, and he's going to roll right to the back 4 foot, kind of nestling up against the other one.
That's not bad for them. And could leave a pocket, though.
I've put the first comment on the video to let our viewers know as well about Twitter.
That's great.
See?
Well, why don't they just ask questions on that? Doesn't that make a lot more sense?
That makes a lot more sense.
Why don't you put a second? Yeah, there you go.
Or just ask on here.
Well,
makes a lot more sense. It's your wife. She's back in the building.
Yeah.
Welcome, Whitney. Thank you. Dustin's in fine form, I'll have you know.
Most excellent.
Most excellent. He's acting pretty cool right now that you've showed up, though. He's not saying much. Say hi to your wife, Dustin? No? You're ignoring her? Big leaguing?
Well, yeah, like we're in the middle of a telecast.
So Northwest Territories coming to this one on the back of the 4 foot.
This is a pretty good result. I mean, tapped it maybe a little too far for him, but still a good shot nonetheless. They're going to have to deal with this one.
So Northwest Territories sitting one at the back of the 4 foot. Ontario sitting second, third, and fourth. Kind of in a little bit of a line.
Got to be careful because even what he's talking about right now, where he's talking about tapping it back 8, he could leave a double for 2 if it's not angled properly.
Do you ever consider throwing a little bit of weight at it, trying to hit it right on the nose and spill it across everything?
Sure.
I guess.
Yeah.
Potentially. But nonetheless, I think he's throwing a little bit less weight just based on the ice. His third, Nick Moore, giving about 1.5 foot ice. So Del Conte will probably try and tap this a little bit out, try and stay. I guess the best spot to stay would be close to nose, maybe a little off nose.
This isn't going to be easy for them, you're right, to not leave a shot for 2. Like,
when you say you're right, you mean you're right because you were the one who said about the double. You're just giving yourself a little bit of credit there.
Right.
Yeah. right. So you were right, Dustin. If they roll a little bit and leave a double here, there will be a double for 2.
If he rolls buried, obviously, there won't be a double, but...
So he's going to jam on his own.
And see, there is going to be a tap for 2. And
yeah, basically
I didn't want to say I told you so, but I told you so.
Absolutely. Sean Kaiser here basically has the exact same shot he just played. If he can get to nose and push it back, even if it jams on that one in the back of the 12 foot, he still should get his 2. So you want to see similar weight here, probably just that board hack weight.
Oh, I don't even know if he wants to do that much.
Yeah. Just based on the ice, I'm thinking he's throwing board. Yeah. So probably back line, board, somewhere, hack, somewhere in there. If he pushes it back, he will get his 2. Important not to overthrow this, though. Things are running a little bit straighter tonight. Boys are working on this early. Important to get by is the first thing.
Oh, they're going to have to give her.
Got to get by.
Oh, no. Ontario has got to breathe a sigh of relief there.
Absolutely.
It's a little bit of a 3-point swing. Wasn't that far off from being made perfect, to be honest. And
just got a little bit tighter, I think.
Again, big game for Ontario, and if you're going to win this, you got to get some breaks, and that was a break.
Absolutely. So 2-0 Ontario after 2 ends of play here at the Canada Games in Red Deer, Alberta.
And now Joel can go around the rings.
Around the rings with Dustin and Joel.
No, just you.
Just me.
Yeah.
Okay. So over on sheet A or 2, depending on if you're alpha person or if you're a numerical person, it's 0-0 between Saskatchewan and Alberta. big game there for both teams. That's the men's score, and the women's score is identical, 0-0 after 2 ends of play. Actually, 1 end of play. Bakos from Alberta is throwing her last shot here in the second end. Manitoba, Nova Scotia, the exact same score after 2 ends of play, 0-0. Manitoba girls are leading Nova Scotia girls 1-0 and shooting in the second and the third end, so they might have scored again. We have Newfoundland playing Quebec, and Quebec is leading Newfoundland 1-0 in the boys' side after 2 ends of play. Quebec girls get a 3 spot in the first end and now lead 3-0 over Newfoundland after 1 end of play. They're finishing rocks in the second end. BC, New Brunswick on the boys' side of things. BC has just scored 2 in the second end, so they now lead 2-0 after 2 ends of play. New Brunswick ladies lead the BC ladies 1-0 after 2 ends of play. Our sheet is 2-0 for Ontario after 2 ends of play. And finally, on the far side of things, on sheet J/11, it's 0-0 after 1 end of play. Finishing rocks here in the second end. So that was our Around the Rings. Back here in action, Ontario went with the top 4 with their first. And Northwest Territories lead, Kayla Brake slips into the house, which will allow Ontario kind of one of those free takeouts that you love to have for the lead. Vincent Barbin. Dustin, you'll appreciate this stat about Vincent Barbin. He was telling me that he's a big golfer.
And he loves to cook.
He loves to cook, but look at this one. He will be cutting the greens at the Canadian Open this year.
The
He's
RBC
at the
Canadian
RBC
Open.
Canadian Open.
That will be a great experience for him.
Yeah, so he's one of the assistant superintendents, or whatever you call it, greenskeepers.
Because it is I believe it's at the Hamilton Golf and Country Club this year.
It is.
Right?
So he'll be cutting the greens, so if any golfers have any complaints, I can direct their complaints to Vincent Barbin.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of your, that's responsibilities you have to incur when you take on that kind of a job role.
Absolutely.
So.
Guess what it is? It's also Vincent's 18th birthday. Happy birthday, Vincent.
Today?
It is.
Well, happy birthday, Vincent. Maybe you'll get a W for your birthday.
Birthday, yep. Loves to cook. Do you think he cooks his own birthday cake?
I don't. No. Come on.
But if a guy likes to cook, he's very picky with what he likes to eat.
Yeah, you don't. I've never heard of anyone
Making their own birthday cake?
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Well, I'm a big Dairy Queen birthday cake.
I'm supposed to put out an apology. We've been pronouncing Team Northwest Territories Skip's name wrong. It's not Kaiser, it's Kaiser. It is.
My bad.
Yeah. So I apologize for that. We'll make sure
Kaiser.
we say that correctly for the remainder of the telecast.
People are already correcting us? Man, that's not a good start. Well, correcting me. I've been the one saying it.
So Ontario has kind of got rocks spread out pretty good here, lying 3. I do like the call here from the Territories to draw down to this back one and try and see if they can use Ontario's own color against them.
Absolutely. Never a bad strategy.
No.
However, these freezes aren't easy, especially on swinging ice like this. So you got to account for the right weight and the right line. You got to sweep it well, throw it well, call it well. One of those full team shots. I need a hero. Was that the song that was just on? I need a hero. You're ignoring me now?
I don't think that's. I don't know.
A little bit heavy there. It's going to slide right through the rings, leaving Ontario sitting 3 without hammer here in the third end. Ontario ladies, I think, just got a mittful.
4 looks like they got. Maybe 5. No, it's 4. Well, it looks like they're going to measure. The overhead looks like 4 for them.
So 4 for Ontario ladies, taking a 4-0 lead over the Territories.
So one thing to consider here for this young Ontario team is I don't mind this call, but just the way where it's going to end up, it can't really fall behind the tee line, or Territories will be able to kind of create a pocket here. And now now where that's sitting, you know, a freeze is has to be a little less perfect. Now it's kind of anywhere on the inside of that rock and it's going nowhere. So just again, something to be cognizant of a little bit when you're sitting in the hack thinking about, you got a nice open end. You know, there's very little pressure against you right now, just thinking a little bit about how should we be missing this.
Exactly right, Dustin.
And again, not far off, just again, even think of that line. I might even, as a skip there, ask to maybe throw it as we're looking at that house to the left, maybe in line with the 4-foot line, just so that if you got some room to keep these rocks spread out as opposed to kind of getting them a little closer together and putting that risk of setting up a pocket.
Which unfortunately Sam has done here. A little bit off on his weights, kind of set up a little bit of a pocket. And Kaiser, is that right? Kaiser?
Yes.
Kaiser's going to try and take full advantage of that. He's called his third. Sorry, no, it's still his second. Garrett Minute. To try and freeze right into that pocket. He can kind of be on the one on the center. He can be on the one on the right. He can kind of be on an angle.
Yeah, the key here is just be on the nose to inside of the nose. And a lot of good things could happen here. This one's
curling.
Over curling for them though, so
might
get a slight barrier around the rock there on the side of the 12-foot. So not a bad audible, and
I think he actually
Ontario
got second shot.
deal with it. Yep, definitely did.
So second shot. You play the short little run back. It could jam too, so not a bad result.
Yeah, you've got to be very precise with this angle run to not jam it. So good result. Now he's looking at just picking it. I think that's probably the right way to go with this. Could throw a very good rock the other way and still jam it. So
Nick Moore, 18-year-old. He's out of also Hamilton. I think there's only the two that are from the outskirts of Hamilton. Moore being one of the ones right from the suburb of the Steel City.
Is definitely going to rack. We'll see where it rolls to for them. Oh, probably right out. So good situation here for the Territories. If they can, I still think I like to see him play that freeze again. He's electing to split the rings, and I guess we'll see where that takes them.
So maybe the freeze on the one shot rock back of the 8-foot wouldn't have been a bad option as well.
Yeah.
You still had that pocket that you could have dealt with.
Well, again, if this is made very well and Ontario noses it, I mean, they're going to be laying one and two. This is pretty heavy, though. They probably should have been sweeping this all the way down. They probably could have at least got a chunk of that white one and got the one in the back 8 and got something out of it.
Instead, it slides right through, which will give kind of Ontario the open hit here to sit 4 in the second end. Oh, my goodness. Third end. It's been a long week. Watched a lot of curling this week.
Wake up. Wake up.
The diet of Tim Hortons coffee and Cliff Bars at this point. That's all that's in my system.
This one's coming down fairly straight for them. This, yeah, is he going to get away with it? Yes.
So you see Kaiser going back to the freeze at the back of the 8-foot. McPherson. Important here to have the right weight and also the right line. So McPherson hopefully to take a couple feet off. Sweeper should be communicating with him, saying, just take a couple feet off. You're about hack weight on the last one. 10 feet less.
Yeah. But he's got some room for error here. Like tapping it a bit isn't the end of the world. But man, if you could just lock it on there, wow, that'd be good.
Might have a few options. Maybe get a backwards deuce out of this. This one's going to over curl again. Weight was better. Weight was a lot better.
It was ideal. It was
yeah.
really good. It could have been made perfect if managed. Just a little bit over curl, and Ontario will have a chance to boot this out.
Crowds have been great all week, though, Dustin. You'd be impressed by midday games at 10 a.m. Crowds have just still been lively. We did an Alberta game yesterday, and the crowds were just awesome for that. We had people in blue suits running up and down, trying to get people hyped, and
That is great. That's part of the experience for these kids that they just have, for most of them, have never experienced before. It's for some of them an experience of a lifetime, and for others it'll be their first stepping stones into getting into that next level of curling, with hopefully seeing some of these young curlers that are future Scotties and Briars and Olympic trials.
yeah.
And we will. That's the exciting part for the spectators here, is we are watching the future of our sport.
Absolutely.
Right here this week.
So Del Conte makes the takeout, jams on his own a little bit, but spins into the back forefoot. No real harm there.
Pretty good result.
I think Northwest Territories are going to switch strategies a little bit, and they're going to go for a hit on this one. They're actually going to hit the one on the back of the forefoot, it looks like, and maybe roll in front of one of those other yellow stones and hopefully set up a 2 that way. A little bit more weight here by Kaiser. Important to hit at the right angle. If with a little bit more weight, it's going to be take a little bit more precision to roll the right spot.
And he has.
Is that any good?
Well, you get 4 out of 4 for that. It's a great shot. Well done.
Why play the freeze when you make the hit and roll that good?
Yeah, and I think he recognized that he had to throw more weight because he had to roll that much flatter to roll in front of that yellow and not into the side of it.
So Del Conte probably play a little bit of like a board weight here. Here you could sometimes just hit right on the nose and stay frozen to the blue one. And it'll kind of force Northwest Territories maybe to the similar shot to get their 1, or maybe a draw to the forefoot to get their 1. Any roll off, though, if he rolls off kind of low side or high side, will allow a chance for Northwest Territories to get their deuce. And it'll kind of be a skips deuce there for Sawyer Kaiser. I guess I was probably saying Kaiser earlier because Kaiser Soze. You ever seen that movie?
No. No.
Unusual Suspects? Usual Suspects? Great movie. So Del Conte trying to hit as much as he can to nose here. Any low side roll will allow a chance for a do. And there it is.
So well done for the skipper there to generate this deuce opportunity.
So a nose hit. If he hits and sticks in the 8 foot, he will get his 2, and he'll tie this game up at 2 after 3. Kind of a deuce out of nowhere, one of those skips deuces.
Yeah, it was definitely generated from a great shot by Mr. Kaiser, and the nice thing is he's pretty much just threw a hit in the same spot, so expect him to make this with ease.
He's got a nice little delivery. Let's put this one back a little bit, though. A little bit more weight than I would have liked him to throw.
But he'll get his deuce and tie it up. So 2-2 heading into 4.
So after the deuce by Northwest Territories here in the third end, Kaiser's going to go right back up top. And a great shot there. Perfect center guard by Caleb Blake, the 15-year-old, 6'4", 15-year-old out of Fort Smith, Northwest Territories. Couldn't have placed that one any better. Del Conte going to stay on the offense. Asking his lead, Vincent Barbin, to come around. Ideally, would get right to the forefoot, kind of dead buried would be nice, but anything the top of the house they'd be happy with. Keeping a close eye on the Alberta games tonight, and of course there's some other important games out there. The Alberta girls got 2 in the third end, and now, the Alberta boys got 2 in the third end, and now lead Saskatchewan 2-1 after 3 ends of play. And in the girls' action, the Alberta girls lead 1-0 after 3 ends of play. So Barbin makes the come around, slides a little bit deep, slides into the back of the forefoot, which will allow Northwest Territories a chance to kind of get on top. Good shot here, looking by Break. However, that one puts on the brakes and stops top 8. Ontario going to try and get a little bit underneath, try and hit this one. Roll underneath and Sitsu. Vincent Barbin, it's his 3rd year on the team. On this team that's been curling together for about 6 years now. So a very experienced team together. They know a lot about each other. Good sweeping here. Sam Gilbo keeping it straight, and a great shot. Ontario now sitting 2 buried with hammer here in the 4th end. Pretty aggressive call here by Kaiser. He could run his own back a little bit, especially with 2 Ontario stones buried. Instead, he's going to ask Garrett, his second, to come around everything and freeze to the one back of the forefoot. Not an easy shot. Dustin is back in the booth with a calzone. Dustin, you got yourself a little calzone.
I do.
Dustin didn't eat supper tonight. He was so excited to commentate tonight that he sprinted here from work, got his kid dropped off, and sprinted into the booth.
People are applauding because of it.
I don't think that's why they're applauding it. No.
Well, I like it. I like what we're seeing here, some aggression. Ontario's got a chance here to really put some pressure on if they can make this little flop.
Garrett, the second for Northwest Territories, was real close to a good freeze there. Just unfortunately a couple feet heavy. It's rolled out into the open, and now Ontario trying to get by tight. Very similar shot to they just played. If they can hit and roll kind of in behind everything, it would set up a big end here for Ontario, especially with hammer here in the 4th. Crowd is going wild out there. Alberta must have made a good shot. It's a very pro-Alberta crowd here in Red Deer. Rightfully so, home province. So second, Sam Gilbo trying to get underneath. Line looks good. They know this spot well because they just threw it with their lead shot. They didn't quite look like they wanted to roll underneath, so instead hit it right on the nose. Will allow a chance for Northwest Territories to get underneath now. Second, Garrett Minute. I'll get that right sometime. At least one of the 3 was right. A little bit more weight than maybe they're expecting. It's running a little bit straight. Got to get a little bit to the inside. Not too bad.
Pretty good result.
Yeah.
I mean, they cannot see all of that right now, so.
So Ontario.
A lot of must-win games out there tonight, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a lot of teams still in the hunt. You know, I'm looking, like you've obviously got Alberta in a must-win situation. Newfoundland's in a must-win situation playing Quebec. You've got Manitoba. I guess you're not mathematically out of it. I don't know about the head-to-heads, but I got to think if you've got 4 losses, you're you're probably really on the outside looking in, would you not say? Oh, no, sorry, it's top six.
Top
That's
six.
right. So big games for all these guys. then.
Yeah, especially the New Brunswick and Saskatchewan.
Game, yeah.
Saskatchewan and New Brunswick men are both tied at 4-4. Ooh, a little bit of a rub there, but he still gets the rock out and actually worked out really good result because he's kind of spread everything out a little bit more. So Ontario now sitting 3. That one overcurled a little bit on them, but still got the rock out, which is the important thing. So like we were saying, New Brunswick and Saskatchewan right now sitting tied at 4-4, with only one of them going to get into the playoff spot. So really important game. Saskatchewan playing Alberta. The Alberta boys are leading 2-1. And for New Brunswick, they're playing, where are they here? BC. And they're actually down 2-0 to BC right now. We did a game for that BC team earlier, Dustin. They're strong. They're coached by Brian Mickey. Obviously, we were talking about he was the 2000 Brier champ with Greg McCauley. So they're coached well. Brian's son, Joshua, plays third for the team, but sweeps as well. They have their second who holds the broom. But they're just a well-rounded team. And I think their skip, Hayato Sato, I think he played 96% or something in that game against Newfoundland. Just real strong throughout. So it's a tough team to beat. That's why they sit at top of the standings along with this Ontario team that we're seeing here today. So this is actually our first look at Ontario. We haven't done an Ontario game yet, but so far we're seeing a lot of good things. They're drawn here to sit 3. It's going to put some pressure on Northwest Territories.
So do we know who's given Ontario and BC their only losses?
So BC lost earlier to Manitoba.
Okay.
Yeah. And Ontario actually lost to British Columbia.
But a 9-7 game. So
9-7, yeah.
good battle there.
So BC was actually up in that game 7-2 at one point, and Ontario battled back. Alas, BC got the last laugh, winning 9-7. There's a beauty.
It's a good shot there.
Nice shot there by Tristan McPherson. Sliding with a lime green 8-ender.
I like that a lot.
See a lot of the kids kind of emulating their favorite curlers on TV. They slide with those 8-enders. Adds a little bit more stability, so some people like that instead of throwing with the gold line or the hard line brooms. A little bit heavier, adds a little bit more stability. So Tristan actually said his favorite curl is John Morris, so that makes sense because doesn't John throw with an 8-ender?
Yes, he does. Yes,
Yeah.
he definitely does.
Oh, good shot here.
Great sweeping. And got to be happy with that. That's a great little shot there by the... And that was a team shot, really, because great sweeping there to hold that.
Great sweeping, great line call, and great throw by Nick Moore. So Ontario sitting 3 now. Kind of in full advantage of this end. Northwest Territories need a big one out of their skipper, Sawyer Kaiser.
Could probably make the double and roll with the right weight.
So weight is important here. Looks like
They're
he
going to
got.
have to back this one up a bit.
Yeah, he was a little bit tight. Got to keep going.
They're holding it pretty good.
Might make the other double, Dustin.
Is there a triple?
Oh,
Is there a triple?
is that any
Oh,
good?
Baby. Nice little shot. He's giving it to Kevin Martin. I don't know. Great little shot.
Gotta love that. Especially
Yeah.
at this age. Look at his third, giving him the fist bump.
Oh,
Pay
yeah.
attention to me. You made an awesome shot. You just made a cross-house triple.
Kaiser's got his shoulders starting to getting sore. With the shots he just made the last end and a half.
Kid's playing well.
Yeah, he likes it.
Gotta give the kid credit. That's awesome. Ontario
We're gonna
now
have
taking
to
the
use the
time.
game observer here just to see if this yellow rock in the back hit the boards.
No, I think it's a timeout, Dustin. I don't think Ontario's coach is too happy with ignoring these ones over here. Oh,
Okay.
Del Conte
They
kind
were
of.
looking at that yellow rock. I
I don't think Ontario's coach liked them being so aggressive here after the triple. maybe take the double over here or hit and roll in front and maybe just keep the blank possibility alive?
Yeah, and that would be the well, it is the right call probably in this situation. I mean, it's 2-2. It's 2-2. You might as well, try and make the double, maybe get out of here with the blank and kind of reset. Or if you catch it on the inside, who knows? You may make some sort of a roll and make them come to you. So.
It's one of those calls that you sometimes make because you're like, team just made a triple against me. I still want to score multiple points in this, and you had in your head that you were scoring multiple, and a team just made a triple, so how can I still get 2? So maybe a little too focused on that.
That's right. That's where you hopefully learn from yourself there too, and kind of recognize if you're a little bit making a call based on emotion versus maybe just taking a breath and thinking about where you're at in the scoreboard. Any of these great curlers that these young guys look up to, if you ever get the chance to talk with, say, a Kevin Martin or a Cooey or for the Manitoba people, McEwen or Epping, I guess, for the Ontario fans watching, they're all about managing the scoreboard. It's all about getting 2 with hammer, forcing 1. It's not about blowing teams out. It's not about having to score 2 on this end. It's about managing the scoreboard.
Absolutely. So maybe a good timeout there by the Ontario coach, maybe to reset his team, kind of get their emotions in check and kind of get them back to what's working for them. Del Conte hits the one on the side, 12-foot, kind of rolls into the back 4-foot. Not a terrible result, but it will allow a chance here for Kaiser if he hits, avoids the jam, and maybe rolls a little bit to the inside. Would you risk giving up the jam if you make the perfect roll?
Well, again, if it's me, I'm not flirting with it. You've done your job. 2 rocks ago, you were looking at 3. Now, hit this, stick around, and make him make a shot to get his 1, and take the brick going into the break.
So Kaiser here. I think he's going to do just that, Dustin. He's going to hit this.
Yeah, he's going to stick around. That's a good-looking shot, and now they'll make a decision if they're going to hit or draw, and hits maybe the call since you just saw it in this spot. Replicate what you just did, and you know what? The other thing, like you talked about having it in your head that you had to get 2, scoring a point here in an even end is a good thing. Leading and retaining hammer and even ends, that's how you win games. So.
Absolutely, especially for Ontario. They're looking for the win here. Northwest Territories trying to get off the schneid at 0-9. However, a big game for Ontario to kind of keep pace with BC, keep pace at the top of the standings. 1 here, as Dustin indicated, would be big, especially momentum-wise going into the second half. So Del Conte looks like he's going to do just that. Going to hit right on the nose. Even if he jams, not a problem. He'll get his 1 point, and he'll take a 3-2 lead after 4 ends of play here at the 2019 Canada Winter Games. We'll do a quick around the rings, and then we'll go take a break, and we'll be back with some action from the 5th end. So the far side, we got Alberta men. Just finished the 4th end, so I'll come back to that game. Give you an update right after that. The Alberta women are leading 1-0 in their game. Actually, it is now 2-1 for Saskatchewan women over Alberta women after 4 ends of play. Nova Scotia and Manitoba are tied at 1 after 3 ends of play on the men's side. On the women's side, Manitoba men are leading Nova Scotia 2-0. On the men's side of things, between Newfoundland and Quebec, it is 2-1 for Quebec over Newfoundland. On the girls' side, Quebec ladies are leading Newfoundland ladies 5-1 after 3 ends of play. At the 4th end break between, I can't quite see, New Brunswick and BC. Between New Brunswick and BC, we got 2-0 BC after 4 ends of play. New Brunswick and BC on the girls' side, it's 2-2 after 4 ends of play. Our sheet, 3-2 Ontario after 4 ends of play. And on the girls' side of things, Ontario ladies are leading 6-0 over the Territories after 3 ends of play. It's been another segment of Around the Rings with Joel. We'll be back after our quick break. We've got about 3 minutes here left in their 5th end break. We're going to get a snack. Dustin's going to eat some more supper, another Cliff Bar. We'll be back to action from the 2019 Canada Winter Games from Red Deer, Alberta.
And just like that, it is game time. So, we'll see what Ontario can do with their 3-2 lead here, playing the fifth. Looks like they want to go. He's calling for the tight center guard here. What? Patio lanterns? I believe Kim Mitchell's playing. Either, is it tomorrow night or tonight?
Kim Mitchell is indeed playing tonight.
Yeah.
They're going to open it up for Trooper tonight.
That's a good. Oh.
All the volunteers were talking earlier today. They said, we got to get out of here as quick as possible so we can see Trooper and see Kim Mitchell a little bit beforehand would even be better.
Wow, yeah. Patio lanterns. What else is he? I'm a Wild Party. He's got a couple of good ones. Trooper has actually played at my hometown, Sedgwick, home to about 900 people.
Wow.
Friends with the bartender there, so he'll come out there. And
Nice.
he's played a couple good concerts out there, filled up the old hockey arena out there. So
Right
put on a good show, even though they're old buggers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people here in Red Deer are excited for them to come.
Are you?
I don't think I'm going to get there.
Oh, okay. Well, we see here Mr. Brake going out to the wing. I don't mind what territories are doing here. They're kind of playing. They're keeping the play away from the middle, and it's probably smart. Give your skippers kind of rolling. Give him some real estate to work with if he's got to make a big draw late in the game or late in the end. Sorry, and I just like the fact that they're trying to promote the game to being out towards the wing versus in the middle.
So if you're Ontario's coach at the halftime break there, what's your message to the team?
Well, I think for them, they've got to. I mean, they obviously have a strong lineup. They're 7-1, so it is maybe about putting pressure on in the early. And for them, when you don't have the hammer, bringing the play to the middle and maybe focusing on making sure you control the top of the house. That's the biggest thing. I think in this 5-rock world we live in now, this game is really one on owning angles and owning the top of the house. You don't really need. It's not a race to the button. It's a race to owning the top of the house.
So basically exactly what Vincent Barbin's done here. Pull their center guard up.
Yeah.
Get right to the top of the forefoot.
That's right. And then defend it by either putting some staggers in there or again, I don't mind this. The territories are saying, you know what, we're going to ignore that and just go around our own guard, and you make a decision if you're going to hit us, even though we're second shot, or if you're going to lob another one in there. So, and Del Conte says
delivers. Oh, that was set up for you.
Oh.
Del Conte delivers. Little alliteration.
No, I just oh no, he was going to draw, but now he's going with the hit and roll.
I guess that's not alliteration at all. Del Conte. Anyways. However, a good hit and roll here by Guilbeault. If he could roll in, kind of get another one in the middle of the house, top of the 8-foot would be very good. So on the territory side, if you're that coach at the break, just keep it up. Maybe make things a little easier for our skipper since he's playing well.
Yeah, like I think he's got to be happy, like you say. Nobody wants to leave this event without winning a game, and their skip's playing well enough to get them maybe a win tonight. So I think it is about keeping it, I don't want to say conservative, but try to keep it simplified and leaving your skip a chance to set up multiples.
So Kaiser going to try and simplify things for him. For himself, I guess. Going to take off the center guard.
Kaiser.
I keep saying Kaiser.
Kaiser.
Got to get that in my head.
Yeah.
This calzone's throwing me off.
Well, again, I like this call too. He's just, like I said, he's staying consistent with trying to avoid the middle being clogged up and trying to get play out to the corner.
Yeah, very mature call by Kaiser. Del Conte going to try and replace that guard, though. Try and get on the center line, cover that rock that's just in the 8-foot. Not quite biting the 4-foot.
Now, if I'm in the hack, again, obviously I'm trying to make this shot, but the key here is you do not want to show, as we're looking at it, the left-hand side of this rock. You're better to have this over curl maybe a little bit as opposed to not curl enough. And I say that because if you ever leave them this board weight and they can chip and roll behind that corner, you just don't want to leave that opportunity if you don't have to, obviously.
Absolutely. And this one looks like it's going to finish. It's going to slide a little bit deeper than they probably wanted.
It's going to probably be close to a freeze here, all said and done. There's a little bit of space in there, but there will be a double chance. Again, this is a small victory for the Territories. If this is made well, everything's going to be out to the wing, and the middle will be wide open. And again, if you're Northwest Territories, that was your goal from the start in this end.
So Garrett Minute going to try and hit this. Even on nose wouldn't be bad, would it, Dust? Kind of sit frozen?
No, it wouldn't be a bad result, and it's going to be somewhere near that.
Not terrible. He's got 2 jams that he's got to avoid now.
Yeah, he's got to be a little bit careful, but just hit your thick half here, 3/4. But again, people maybe watching the sport and trying to learn the strategy of it, where you say it's a good miss is Ontario has to roll wide here, and it could roll into a spot where the Territories can actually use it. So.
Could be a jam possibility here. Don't want to jam this dead on. He will, but it will roll out, so no harm done.
No harm done, but
Territories are also happy, though.
Yeah, and again, it speaks to your earlier point where kind of missing the right way has led to this end being a little more simplified for the Territories, and now they've got a free crack to try to use the corner they put up at the beginning of this end.
Absolutely. And you'll see teams like this Territories team, you get more experience. You're at more junior championships, more juvenile championships, Canada Winter Games, all this experience. You see a lot of these teams start to grow better and better as the week goes on.
That's one he's going to want to have back.
So unfortunately, McPherson flashing on the inside there. Will allow chance for Nick Moore to replace the guard. People getting tense out there. I'm not hearing the crowd as much. It's kind of a weird atmosphere out there right now.
Well, again, a lot of these ends have just resumed from their 4th end break. So.
I guess. Ontario ladies are up big in their game against the Territories. Just stole another 3 to lead 9-0 now after 4 ends of play.
Pretty good result there for Team Ontario. Force Territories into, looks like making a attempt to run back.
So the Brier starts tomorrow. Dustin, who do you got the wildcard game? Epping, Botcher? Who are you picking?
Well, is Botcher the higher ranked team?
Yep.
Guess you got to go with him. But I'm kind of cheering for Epping, I think. Well, I shouldn't say that.
I love the way kind of Darren Moldings kind of reinvented his game a little bit with Botcher. In the sense that he seems so happy and positive, and yes, he's still kind of intense Darren, but I think a few of us remember Darren back in his junior days would be maybe being a little bit more intense and throwing brooms and stuff like that. So Darren to reinvent himself and be kind of the cheerleader on that Botcher team is kind of a nice little change.
Yeah. Well, it showed, I guess, what the power of chemistry can do, because I think they had a great player in Tom Appleman and just made that one change, and it just seems to have been a little bit of difference that has kind of brought that team to the next level.
So kind of along the same line of questionings, if you pick Botcher for that, who are you picking for the Brier? Putting you on the spot here.
You know, Jacobs has actually quietly played pretty well lately, but I don't know how things are with that team with just the year Fry's had, but I don't know, it's pretty hard to discount Kui or Wagushu. It's kind of whoever's running hot. They're all so close.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would have to go with Gushu think he's got the three-peat in him.
Yeah, but that's biased. Biased on that. You got family in there.
I just think Gushu's kind of shown signs of life this year, but not quite played maybe as well as he could have all year. So I can kind of see them getting hot here at the right time, and I guess that's kind of high standards for them because they have won a slam this year already too. So back to our action. Northwest Territories makes the double. Both the Ontario Stones go out. Did he spin back in too?
He did not.
Did not.
A heck of a try. And like I say, not a bad end to blank too if the Territories gets a chance to. It's great to retain hammer in an even end, especially getting late in the game.
So Del Conte will try and bury around one of the Northwest Territories guards here and force maybe Kaiser to a draw to take his single point. I'm just going to keep peppering you with curling questions now, Dustin.
Sure.
Jill Officer was selected as the 5th today for Chelsea Carey.
Was she?
Yeah.
What's the connection there?
I don't know, so I was going to ask you what your thoughts were on that. I didn't know what to think. I kind of thought she was kind of retired. I guess maybe the chemistry thing, like you said, she brings a lot to a team. Obviously just got voted the best second of all time. And a lot of experience maybe at the world stage.
Yeah, exactly. I guess, like you say, if those girls have a prior friendship or relationship with Jill, then I'm sure it can work well. I mean, I've done the role of an alternate, and really your role just needs to be, you need to be a chemistry builder. That's really what your job is. How can you support the team with scouting rocks, watching ice conditions, helping with the logistics of getting to and from the rink and getting food to them on a time. Like, that's really your job. So, and then just helping them when, you never go through those events swimming through them, just curling 95s all week and never experiencing any adversity. So, again, a good 5th is going to help teams when they're getting on a little bit frustrated, or if maybe a game or two doesn't go their way, to get them back on track. So
I think this one's picked right out of his hand.
But
I don't know what quite happened there. Might have to watch a replay here. We got the replay in front of us. So, anyways, Ontario has stolen one here in the 5th end. Kind of watch to see what happened on this one. Oh, it did pick right out of his hand.
tough break.
Especially the way he's been playing. It's a tough break, especially if you keep hammer there. If you get the blank, all of a sudden you're only one down playing 6, the even end. So tough break for Kaiser and the kids from Northwest Territories. Ontario will steal one in the 5th end, and they now lead 4-2 after 5 ends of play. Did look like it picked right out of his hand. However, nobody's cleaned that spot. They've kind of...
No. I'm a little surprised Del Conte called for this to be out front. I mean, with a 2-point lead, I'd be putting it top 4 or make them come to you. If they hit it, that's what you want. You're
Absolutely.
Two up, because then they're saying blank. And if you throw it top 4 and they throw a corner, now you can decide what you want to do. If you want to put a tight guard up or put another one in the paint.
Absolutely. However, Barban's going to come a little bit light. So now he hogged that rock, which allowed Kaiser the chance to throw up a corner guard here. This one looks like it's sliding on him, though, and it looks like it's going to slide right into the rings. It's actually going to slide back house. Del Conte not going to give it much of a sweep, and look at this, Dust. He's going to actually ignore a rock in the house and throw up a center guard.
Yeah, I'm surprised by the aggression. If I'm the Territories, I'm kind of happy this is what I'm seeing because, we're down 2 late. We need rocks in play if we're going to generate multiples. And, if Ontario were to hit that right now, and even if they rolled out or stayed,
yeah,
it's a pretty good situation for them.
I guess maybe their coach's message at that 4th end break was we got to be a little bit more aggressive, kind of make Kaiser's shot since he's playing well a little bit more difficult. It's kind of, I guess, the only thing I'm really thinking of here. However, this will allow the Territories. The guard goes up, and Kaiser's going to kind of maybe take this easy deuce if it's given to him.
Well, I'm really interested to see if this shot's made really well, what Del Conte attempts to do. If he hits one of these open ones, or if he decides to utilize his center.
Boys got to work on this one. Caleb break. Hopefully this one doesn't put the brakes on too soon.
But, wow.
You just got that.
Not a bad way to miss it, though. That's better than being back 8, in my opinion. It's very usable stone for them.
So now Del Conte, I think he got talked out of going around that center guard by his team.
Yeah, and see that. That's just where it speaks to me a little bit that there's an error kind of in calling that guard, because, okay, now we knows this. If I'm the Territories, I'm drawing around the corner we have. Good chance it's shot rock. And then, again, you don't have control of the end. The Territories then do if they make that shot very well.
I guess the best you could do here is sit right on the nose, and you're only just in the 8 foot. But very impressed with Kaiser's strategy here today.
Yeah, again, I thought he skipped a great end last end too, and just unfortunate with a pick, but I agree. I agree with how he's trying to set this end up.
So they got to get by here. Important to get by. Kind of sit first or second shot over behind the corner guard.
If the weight's right, the line's great. If the weight's good.
Just got to come down. It's going to slide a little bit. Del Conte's going to get on it. And will slide through the ring. So a little bit heavy there by Garrett.
Hit the Pioneer Fall League decal.
It's probably not where he was aiming, was it?
Probably not.
So in the other big games just across the way, Alberta ladies are leading Saskatchewan ladies 3-1. And the Saskatchewan men are leading the Alberta men 2-1.
And that's a big game for both teams there too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you said, 6 teams make the playoffs. Top 2 get a bye. So you're guaranteed basically a medal game if you can be in that top 2.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Yep,
Yeah.
you are correct.
So for the schedule of events for people watching, when is the gold and bronze games?
So going forward here, we're going to have the last round robin game tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. So we'll be with you here in the booth. It'll be myself, and actually my dad's going to join me for that broadcast. My dad, Lowell Peterman, a very distinguished curler in his own right, will join me at 9 a.m. for the last round robin game.
The wheelchair access elevator will be in function then?
Yes,
okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. After that, we have the 2 p.m. game, which will be the quarterfinals. 3 will play 6, and 4 will play 5 in both the men's and the ladies. After that, we will have our semifinals with Dustin back in the booth to join me for the semifinals
Exciting night.
at 7 p.m. And then, last but not least, 10 a.m. Saturday, March 2nd, will be your gold medal and bronze medal finder Taylor from the Canada Winter Games. It seems a little weird that the gold medal game would be at 10 in the morning.
Well, the whole, I see that the last Canadian Winter Games event is at 1.
Yeah, I think they probably just have to have everything done before the closing ceremonies on Saturday night.
Yeah. No, don't need to be humming. We're
This song?
live.
It's a great song.
Isn't he Canadian? Didn't this guy just pass away?
Who's this?
I believe he did. Good guard here by Ontario, and this end has really switched now with the couple of unfortunate misses for the Territories. We're looking at it, angling their guard or playing the freeze, maybe a small bump here. And I kind of agree with this call again. I think this is the right call. Get one in there if we can get it frozen up. Del Conte's going to have to make a decision whether he's just going to protect the situation or come into the rings.
I looked it up. He's not Canadian.
Oh.
He's Belgian.
Okay. And he's alive.
And he's alive. Not a bad result, too, though, for Northwest Territories. He is sitting third shot. Del Conte is indicating that to his team, so
This isn't a bad. It's a good lead for them. Again, I've got to go back here as a little bit of a teaching lesson. This is not really the, just by calling some different shots here, you're putting yourself in a situation you don't necessarily need to be in. And yes, it looks good right now, but when you start guarding in the thirds rocks and they have 3 rocks yet to come at you, 2 or 3 is not out of the question here yet for the Territories. That being said, they could sew this up and make their next 2 and steal. So
absolutely.
what the heck do I know?
This Ontario team was actually voted in 2017 by the Ontario Curling Council as one of their next generation teams, so an up-and-coming team.
Okay.
See a lot of potential in these guys. I think they've been playing together for 7 years, kind of shows that dedication to the sport, so the Ontario Curling Council recognized that. How do you like this call by Kaiser here?
Well, I don't see much else. This is definitely the call. Even if you don't make it right, you're going to open up one side at least.
If you can ever stick it right in there, all of a sudden you're sitting one buried. You expose the other Ontario stone. Could be a very good shot. You got to keep it straight here for him, though. Keep going. Keep going. Oh, kind of one of those worst case. A little bit more high side. You actually might make a double there, run back double. A little bit more low side, and you might run it back onto the other Ontario stone.
Just a fraction of an inch from being spot on. Del Conte looking at going in here, and the good thing about this is now he's got a couple options. Like if he's a little bit short, he probably cuts off that side of the sheet and protects that one on the button. If he gets right on top of it, makes it really good. Kaiser's going to have to make a really good shot to get both out of there. So it's kind of it's a good opportunity here for Ontario to really put some heat on the Territories.
So Del Conte looking to do just that. Leading here 4-2. Northwest Territories with hammer here in the 6th end. Still having a single question on YouTube. Apparently they just like our commentary so much that they don't ask us anything. We're just so in depth with our commentary. You think that's the reason?
I'm surprised there hasn't been any criticism yet.
We're up to 77 viewers though. Kind of doubled our population here lately.
That's really down though from Sunday. We had like hundreds watching.
Yeah. So Del Conte going to try and come by. Got to keep this straight. Kind of lines close, but they got to keep it moving.
I think they're going for weight here, but he's missed this the exact right way to do it. This is in a great spot. Oh, no, he got third, so he didn't really miss it at all. It's a great shot. I don't think you can really drop it in a better spot. I think that's better than being on top of that yellow rock. Because if you froze that one that's top button, you would leave an angle run double that would go for fun. There is not a lot here for the Territories. They're probably going to have to either open up the middle or run the middle into the pile because the angles just do not look good for them right now.
So Kaiser recognized. Kaiser. No, I'm right. Kaiser. Recognized that early, called the timeout right away. Got to get some input by his coach. So they're going to bring out their coach, Nick Kaiser. Kaiser, man. Kaiser. I literally even wrote it phonetically on my page. Kaiser. And I just can't say it right.
No.
Deal with names all the time. They have me MC events at the school, honor roll, different things, award ceremonies, pep rallies, and I screw up kids' names every single day. So maybe I should just start with a disclaimer that says, I will screw up your name. I do not mean it on purpose. I do not mean it to offend you, but it's going to happen. Would that help?
I just get it right. Like it's not hard.
Kaiser. So timeout here by Northwest Territories. What are they coming out of this timeout with?
Looks like either either they're playing the double peel here, and a lot of good things could happen. You could, if you hit this right, it'll come kind of right back into the pile. You might be able to actually get rid of a couple yellows here. But I think, yeah, if he can hit a half a rock here, some good things could happen for them.
If he could ever spin it off the backside of that yellow and kind of push his blue back, would kind of be real good luck. But we'll see what he kind of gets out of this. Everything he's thrown tonight, Sawyer Kaiser has been right around. So I can imagine he's going to be pretty close with this. Maybe I give him the kiss of death here.
Well, he didn't. Not all is lost. But,
just a little extension
pretty
there.
important to kind of get that middle open so they couldn't stop both sides and leave him a shot. Where now if they make kind of basically replace it, he's going to have a very tough shot to score.
So just a little bit out on his release on that one. Set it back, and he kind of came through the hole and picked the one off the top. Del Conte puts it in a similar spot, though. It's going to be a real tough score for here for the Territories. Must say there's some results that are happening out tonight that I didn't quite expect. I don't mean that as any criticism, but I've just seen Newfoundland boys play so strong all week, and now they're in a battle down 3-1 to Quebec.
Well, that's why you play the games, Joel. This one's going to crash here, so it'll be interesting to see what this leaves for the Territories. Not much. There is that angle run that he's already putting the broom down, and
make it for at least one. If he got lucky and maybe made the double, you might even get two out of it. It's tough, real tough.
yeah, it's almost probably a bit of luck if you actually made the double, because you got to hit it pretty thin to. You got to hit it thick, but hit the one on the button fairly thin to have that happen. So thick half here gets his one.
So an important shot here for the Territories. Scoring your single point in the sixth would keep you right in this game. However, a steal by Ontario could spell maybe the end for the Territories. I shouldn't count them out. However, a 4-point lead with 2 ends remaining could be tough. So Kaiser here. Seems like it's floating a little bit on him again. Doesn't look too happy. And it will be a steal of two.
So that makes it 6-2 as we have completed the sixth end. And the Territories have kind of dug themselves a bit of a hole.
It's the first time I've seen this all week. Wade and his ice staff are actually coming out to do a little bit to the ice during the sixth end?
Seventh end?
Seventh. Interesting timing. Mm-hmm. Is that maybe on a request of one of the coaches? Asking them?
Well, a coach can't request that.
So I'm just curious of why we're seeing our ice crew here. Nonetheless, we have Wade. We get to give some props here. Wade Thurber, the head ice maker, head of the ice staff here at the Red Deer Praderney Center. Gets to come out and inspect his ice a little bit, see what's going on, and give the boys a clean, and we'll get going with the last two ends. Coaches actually are talking to their players too, which is kind of interesting. Not something
so you obviously haven't seen this?
I have not seen this, no. So they'll do it a quick sweep of the ice, and we'll get back to action from the seventh end. Ontario leading 6-2. Northwest Territories will have hammer in the seventh end. Looking to get at least a deuce to get back in this game and give them a chance coming home. So maybe I guess Ontario's aggression paid off there, Dustin. Not the conventional way to do it, but
it did. They definitely took advantage of the misses from the Territories, and they'll gladly take that steal of two.
So what's happening over there? Alberta ladies have stolen another one in the 6th. That's big to go up. Or sorry, that's the Alberta men. Alberta men have stolen another one in the 6th. They now lead 4-1 over Saskatchewan after 6 ends. The Saskatchewan ladies were forced to a single in the 6th and now lead the Alberta ladies 3-1 after 6. Manitoba men are leading Nova Scotia 3-2 after 5. The Nova Scotia ladies are trailing Manitoba ladies 5-2 after 5 ends. As I kind of indicated earlier, Quebec having a really good game on the men's side, and they're leading Newfoundland 3-1 after 5 ends. Except it looks like they got a shot here. If they make a pick, they might get 3. Two or three. They got a shot for 2 or 3, so they get right back in that game with Quebec. The Quebec ladies giving it to the Newfoundland ladies a little bit. They're up 6-1 after 4 ends of play. They're only in their 5th, a little bit behind. They're 2 ends behind us. The BC boys, the New Brunswick boys, in a real must-win game for New Brunswick. They're tied after 5, 2-2. New Brunswick ladies are leading the BC ladies 4-3. Our featured sheet 6-2 for Ontario, and the Ontario ladies are leading the Northwest Territories ladies 9-0.
It's interesting on that sheet 7 game with Newfoundland and Quebec on the ladies game. Like you said, they're just wrapping up the 5th end, and Newfoundland's got under 10 minutes there, so they're going to have to manage their time efficiently there with 3 ends to play.
That's not much time at all.
No.
But Quebec, not much. Like 11's not much either. So.
Well, you still have 2 timeouts. And
I guess.
you're given 30 minutes, right? So 3 minutes, or a little over 3.5. What is it per end? I guess.
Yeah.
So.
And Newfoundland actually just scored 4 there to get right back in the game against Quebec. So it's not going to be like up and down the sheet.
Right.
They're going to have to do a good job of getting back in that game, but also managing their clock.
And here we've got Ontario with a great first one. Don't let the earphones beat you up.
Just
and
flipped and hit me right in the ear.
And I like this call. Very tight, or maybe even biting. But this Ontario team's playing very well, executing very well, and this end's set up very well for them to start the 7th.
Brake did a good job. Caleb Brake out of Fort Smith, Northwest Territories, got his guard up on the corner guard on the one side and now trying to make things even on the other side. Kaiser coming out to help early. Those skips always seem to just get in the way and then come out and help. Now he's the only one sweeping.
And Mr. Brake will have to buy a round after.
Are they old?
Of pop.
Pop. 15-year-olds, right.
Iced tea. And again, with the 5 rock rule, they cannot peel that corner yet. So looks like he'll just he's playing a tap maybe here with that broom.
I think so. A little tap back, tap it to a freeze.
I think he kind of indicated T-line weight there. So.
I really find myself watching all the sheets as we get later in the week with all these games being so important.
Well, that's the actual fascinating thing about the playoffs being 6 teams. Like, you've got a great chance to just give yourself a chance, you know. And, if you're just starting to feel your game late in the week, it doesn't really matter if you're 6th. Just win 3.
Absolutely. Give yourself a chance.
And everybody in this competition has won 3 games in a row before in their life.
Absolutely. No matter what level they're playing at.
I would bet it.
Yeah?
Yes.
Be a good server to ask. However, I think it would be right. Absolutely. Have you won 3 games in your life in a row, Dustin?
I don't know if I have.
What's your record? Have you ever tracked that?
No.
No?
But
If you had to wager a guess.
back to the game here. For Quebec, we're, like you said, seeing some upsets. Where are they in the standings right now? Just interesting.
2 and 6, the boys.
So they don't probably have any mathematical chance. What about the ladies here with having that 6-1 lead and just giving up 4? Sorry.
For
to
the
go 6-5.
So that game, Quebec is 3-5, and Newfoundland's 2-6.
So 3 and 5, like 5 and 5 might get you a sniff of.
Yeah,
of it.
they're actually
you run
just
the
one
table.
game out of the playoffs right
Yeah,
now.
So, again, when you say you start seeing upsets, well, it's getting late in the week and people know they're on their last life. A little bit of desperation, maybe.
Absolutely, and it's really easy at this point of the game to start looking over and checking the scores on the other sheets because, like we said, Quebec 3-5, one game out of the playoffs, but Saskatchewan playing just down the way against Alberta, up 3-1, and just 2 sheets down. New Brunswick, another team that they're fighting with, is actually in a battle with BC. So it's really easy to start maybe losing your focus a little bit, but if you focus on what you have to do, control your destiny, I guess that's the best thing you can do. And as a coach, I think you got to help your team kind of focus on the task in hand.
Yeah, you can't control what's going on in the other sheets, so it's really, you can't even control what your opposition is doing. You got to concentrate. If you're the Blue Rocks, you're playing the yellow ones right now, and you got to make sure you outscore yellow. So
Absolutely.
that's the job to do now, and let the rest take care of itself.
Pretty good situation here for Ontario.
Yeah, it's they're pretty well protected. They're going to get a free crack here to get another one in there. So, but still, calling the type of shots where you can't, you can't be lackadaisical. You got to make these. You can't hit a half a rock, open things up, and give the territories a chance to hit and roll around the corner. Looks like they're going to take a timeout here. Coach is maybe saying, hey, maybe we're getting a little too aggressive. So
Yeah.
we are up 4. We don't need to have every rock in play, but those 2 blues.
Up 4, 2 crossed over guards, 2 rocks behind that kind of crossed over. You're kind of in a good position on this side. You might see the coach just come out and say, let's peel one of these corners.
Possibly so.
I don't know how you can make that situation along the center for you any better besides getting greedy and, like you said, maybe opening up and giving the territories a shot.
Like, I guess you could throw a high guard, but
That's getting real aggressive, isn't it?
But I'm just saying, if you peel the high one here and you're the territories and maybe throw the angle run on the center line guard there, probably make 2 yellows go away, and you might be able to kind of have 2 corners on the left-hand side. Because if you're at the territories, you have to score 2 here, minimum.
Absolutely. To at least give yourself a chance in the 8th.
No. Now, if you're break, are you discussing what you're buying for the round after the hog rock you just thrown?
Potentially. It's got to be some kind of pop, coffee.
Coffee?
No, I don't
People
know.
don't drink coffee at that age.
Kids,
I don't think,
well,
do they?
middle school kids always bring in coffee to school.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't.
Maybe it's just hot chocolate and I'm assuming it's coffee.
I think that makes more sense to me. Well, the coach has told them to peel here, and that's probably, well, not probably, that is the call here. So
That song is still in my head.
Ontario ladies, they've shook, and that game is done.
Ball game.
9-1 final there, and they'll go up to 8-1 now, I believe. Correct?
I got to check that side. Yes, 8-1. It's already updated on here. Look how quick that is. Good job, Care, and the results team. Isn't it? Care?
Oh, is it?
I believe it's Care. Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, you know what? We can give Care an attaboy. Way to go, Care, for being honored.
That's like up there and updated.
Great work there, you young little lad.
Did you do that because he's Scottish?
Yes.
Yes. Good little.
And he's not listening.
No,
to
he's
this,
not
so
listening,
I
yeah.
don't- but
I was really hoping for your Scottish accent earlier in the game when a great shot was made.
that triple was maybe when it should have.
Happened, absolutely.
Great shot there by Kaiser. We've got a gasping from the crowd over on, was that sheet 9 that
Sheet
generated
9,
that?
she did wick through the hole.
Wiki wiki walk, you don't stop. Right? I
Well,
think.
Lyle actually made the reference earlier this morning when a team got in trouble. He said that it looked like they're in a sticky wicket right now.
And they probably were.
They probably were. I had never heard that term used.
Oh, this is not the result the territories wanted. That ticking that blue rock or kissing off there and staggering that center even more is really not ideal for them.
So you'd like to see Ontario here make this takeout on the Northwest Territories zone, and you don't even have to stick.
I don't even think you want to stick at this point. The less rocks in play, the better for you. You've got 2 buried. in a situation where they would have to make a very precise run back to eliminate any of your yellows. So
Don't overthink this. Get
yeah,
rid of it.
Just make it go away.
They are trying to make it curl to try and stick it. Stick on the side of the 12-foot.
And again, these are small things, but again, at this level, why have something hang out in the side that could maybe lead to a jam? Again, do you need to score more than one here? Do you need to even score, really? Like, your goal should be to force here. I don't really see the need in sticking around out wide, and you know, it may not come into play, but you are complicating the end when you really don't need to be.
Especially because you got 2 buried, like you said. Just stealing 2 would basically end the game as it is. So,
well, stealing 1 ends the game, but I would say forcing 1 ends the game. Being up 3 coming home is, I think you'd take that before, if somebody told you that before the game started. So
McPherson here, going to be a little bit light, throwing another one kind of into the pile of guards. And Ontario's going to come right around everything.
And if this draw is made, you know, you might want to get the Velcro ready.
I don't think any of the Northwest Territories kids are wearing gloves.
Oh.
I like the reference though.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, this is kind of a precise shot too. If you decide to go around and all of a sudden you end up back 4-foot.
Even if you end up top button, if it's not fully buried, it could be very usable for the Territories. This needs to be top 8. Bite the 4-foot.
Get something buried and you won't allow the Territories a shot.
So if the weight line's looking good, but
That's
pretty
perfect.
dang good.
Perfect.
So
Is there anything? What do
can you
th-
run that yellow, and you might actually make a run triple. So
Yes.
for the people at home that said, say what?
Say
If you
what?
hit just a hair on the inside and just get that yellow rock as we're looking at it on our right,
Yep.
hit it a hair on the inside, you're probably going to make at least 2 yellows go away and maybe even kick out that third one that's on the 4-foot that Del Conte just planted there into the open, and might give yourself a chance to score.
Yep, absolutely. Got to throw a high, hard
If
one though.
he makes this, I will give you
Scottish
a
accent.
sure.
Yeah, perfect. He's got to throw this hard.
He's going to have to throw it hard, and like I say, just a hair on the inside of the nose.
Got to keep going. Got to keep it high side. He's close.
He's going to give it a try. That's a pretty good result. Great shot. Like I say, it's at least given him a chance to score. I think he's got to be pretty happy with that. That's a great shot. That's what it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for that all day.
Well,
All day.
but
I wish you'd talk in that accent the entire game. Can you imagine the viewers we would have?
you would probably get down to a single digit if that happened.
However, they would skyrocket in Scotland. Who is this Scottish guy?
I don't think Scotland has the internet yet, do they?
Now they're definitely not
Like
watching.
I was over there last summer and I didn't see any.
They're definitely not watching anymore. Some more gasping.
A lot of things happening on sheet 9, and the crowd is animated for that game. So for Del Conte here, he just wants to lob one around here. If he can kind of bite the 4-foot again, it's going to force Kaiser into having to draw a side of the old pinhole for his 1. Well curled end for Ontario.
Yep.
Did not have control. That is great English there.
However, he is correct, and I don't think they've missed a single shot this end. They've been perfect, in my mind.
Yeah, they really have. And again, this isn't exactly what he wants, but it's missed the right way. It's forcing them to have to come down the one side and score as 1. And again, hopefully this is made with ease, and they can take a 3-point lead coming into the 8th.
Absolutely. So Kaiser, got to give the kid credit. He's played his heart out tonight trying to keep his team in it. Let's see if he has another one up his sleeve.
He's made some good quality shots, that's for sure. Oh, look at that Alberta guy running around there.
There's the blue suit guys. I was telling you about
Look
those
at
guys.
that. Oh, baby.
Great action. Who do you think that is? Do you think he lets people know who he is? Or is that just one of those things that you do, like, behind the scenes?
I don't know.
I don't know. Do you,
I don't know.
do you admit to something like that when you're a super fan? Back to the action. Sorry, I should commentate this, Rock. Kaiser.
We need this to curl, and we're just gonna, no.
Just going to slide a little bit too far. It will be second shot, so it'll cut down Ontario to only one.
And it'll be 7-2. This could be Velcro in the handshakes.
And it is. It is indeed.
And for Del Conte, he's got to be happy. He's 8-1 now.
I want to say that assures him a spot in the 1-2, like the bye to the semifinal. Because I believe he beat Alberta. He did. So even if he were to lose his last round robin game, that would drop him to 8-2.
That's right. Yes. If 1 + 1 is 2. That's
one. We're just going to confirm this for everybody. If Ontario were to lose this game, they would drop to their last round robin game. They would drop to 8-2, and the only people who could catch them would be Alberta and Newfoundland. And they beat both of those teams.
So big win for them then. They've
Big win.
Solidified a bye to the semifinals, which is great for them. They got to be excited.
Absolutely. So their last action will go against Quebec tomorrow morning.
So now do we move to another game here, or what is this?
I don't know. Maybe we do an update on the other sheets. We should at least update them.
Okay.
So way over on the far side, they're coming home. The Alberta boys lead 4-2 over Saskatchewan. That game in the last final end.
Alberta retaining hammer there.
Yeah, Alberta has hammer. The Alberta ladies got the deuce that they needed in 7 to tie it up with Saskatchewan. So now they're tied up coming home. Got their center guard up and looking to steal. Maybe steal a victory from Saskatchewan's grasp. Nova Scotia men leading Manitoba men in what would be a big game.
4-3 there with Manitoba having the hammer.
Absolutely. Manitoba ladies are up big, aren't they, Dustin?
They just shook hands. They just won there. They're just hanging up the score now, but they were up 5. Oh, looks like they forced Nova Scotia to win, so they've won 7-3 there in the 7-end final.
So that'll push Manitoba's record on the women's side to 8-1. They'll join Ontario at 8-1, and Nova Scotia will drop down to 5-4. So there's kind of a mess in the women's. From anywhere from 4th place through 8th place is all separated by only one game. So that'll come right down to it.
Isn't that exciting with the 6-team playoff format?
Absolutely.
You just wouldn't have that in a different situation.
Well, you would, because if 4 teams made the playoffs, they would still be fighting for that last spot.
Like provincials, for example, where it's always the top 3. Like it'd be
over.
done.
It'd be done.
It'd be done right now if
would.
Alberta wins.
Absolutely. Nonetheless, the 6-team playoff is very exciting.
Yes. And again, gets teams that much more experience, right? Playing in big games and getting a run at a medal.
Absolutely. So keep going across the ice quickly.
Well, across the rings.
Across the rings.
Yes.
Quebec men leading Newfoundland men 3-2 after 6 ends of play. Newfoundland sitting 2 here in the 7th, looking to maybe steal and get back in that game with Quebec. Right next to them in the game that's going to battle with time because they're in the 6th end and only 7 minutes left for each team now. Quebec leads 6-5. I'm actually curious of how that's going to end, Dustin, with the time clocks. What happens if both teams run out of time?
Well, the 6th end's done, right? Like they're playing 7, so they probably have enough time now. But they're going to have to manage it still.
Yeah, still be mindful. Going across to the boys, BC versus New Brunswick. BC leads 3-2 after 6 ends of play. They're coming to the last kind of rocks here in the 7th end. The New Brunswick ladies just got a 3 spot to open up a 7-3 lead against BC ladies.
Headed for home.
And the last 2, Ontario with both wins. The men coming home with a 7-2 victory over the Territories, and the ladies with a 9-1 win for them against the Territories. Are they cutting us off now, Dustin? Have we heard? They're cutting us off? They are cutting us off. Well, nonetheless, that was quite the sigh.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, it's been great action here from Red Deer. Dustin, I thank you for being in the booth again with me today.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. You're excited to come back tomorrow for the semifinal?
I am. I'm interested to see who's there when we get here tomorrow night. And again, wish all these teams that are going to battle it out in the playoffs the best of luck tomorrow. And be exciting to see here who gets to go home with a medal on after Saturday.
Absolutely. So very exciting action. We'll be back to you tomorrow. I'll be here at 9 a.m. with our last round robin game. We'll be featuring that game in the morning between PEI. It'll be PEI and New Brunswick in the last round robin game. And then 2 p.m. will be our quarterfinal. And then Dustin will be back in the booth for our semifinal action from the 2019 Canada Winter Games from Red Deer, Alberta. Have a great night, everybody.